Ms. Ayo. Mr. Baumgartner. Ms. Fontenot. Ms. Gay. Mr. Hardesty. Ms. Hardy McReynolds. Mr. Natale. Mr. O'Banion.
Here.
Mr. Pichon.
Here.
Mr. Roberts.
Here.
Reverend Wallace.
Here.
Dr. Washington. Mr. Bro.
Here.
Mr. Castile. Mr. Taro. You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. So we only have two items on the agenda. First one is theater supplement.
Yes, sir. So,
Do we need to make a motion on that? Discuss.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Reverend Wallace, second by Dr. Washington.
so just to kind of give you a rundown, towards the end of the year, I was approached about possibility of having a theater supplement. We're supposed to have this meeting about a month or so ago, and pushed it off to now. In the meantime, we had Act 311 passed, so we probably would have been having this discussion anyway. We're just about 2 or 3 months earlier than we would have had. For those of you who have been to any of the theater performances that we have in the parish, they're first rate. Absolutely fantastic. We have 3 schools, 2 on the east side of the river, 2 on the west side of the river that have theater departments. And so we're putting forth the supplement of $2,000. Most of these folks do 2 performances a year, but we said, at least 1 performance minimum in case something happens. And we can't do a second one, we'd at least have 1 in there. And then if anybody wanted to add a program after this in order to get the supplement, for example, another high school wanted to do that, we would need to run that through Visual and Performing Arts Department to make sure that we've got everything up to speed. Have any questions?
This is for 1 performance per school.
1 performance minimum per school. Most of these folks do a couple. If you wanted to do 2, I think everybody here does 2 anyway. They would probably be okay with that. But we're putting forth 1.
Where do we come up with the value, just based on hours?
We based it off of some of the things that we do with other supplements as well. So for example, esports and things like that robotics, that put in a lot of hours, like theater does. And so those are 2,000 as well. And we have a minimum on those as well in terms of, hey, they've got to have X number of performances, but competitions and things that they do. So
When does the extra time that they put in, does that come in just as a performance or a month into it, or, because most of this is done during school or after school?
So there is on all of these, they're going to have a class period that they have, but there's also a significant amount of time after school that they have. So similar to say a robotics, right, where we have a class period that we may have robotics, they've also got a significant amount of time outside of school that we've got to do. It's no different in my mind than say a coach, right? So a coach may have a PE hour that they're working with a kid, but they're getting a supplement, not necessarily for that PE hour, but they're getting it for the outside work.
Just didn't know how much was done after school. I know leading up to the
That's-
performance hours.
Yes, sir.
It is.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Reverend Wallace.
All right, I just wanted to say, because I did make a motion to accept and approve the item. And I tell you what, I see and know, have seen the work that goes into theater, and it's nonstop.
Substantial.
Throughout the summer, school year, fall, spring, I mean, it's just, they put in the time.
Yes, sir.
And so, but we see the product as well.
Yes, sir.
Not only through what we see for the different performances, but we also see the effect that it has on our students' lives. And so in supporting the arts, but as well as students going into college and getting scholarships. I mean, my goodness. And so that's why I'm in support of this, because this is just another way to support the arts and bring that back, because hey, it's a part of what we, as a district, definitely, we need more of.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm in definite support. Thank you.
Mr. O'Banion?
I just want to echo what Reverend Wallace says. I know it's a lot of time that goes into it outside the performances, and I wouldn't do it for that much. I appreciate it.
Anything else?
Yes, Dr. Van Meter, I support this, but are there any other things that are done similar to this, not the performing arts in any way? But what about the chess club and other programs in the school?
So-
Will we be revisiting this at some point because we left someone out?
So, short answer, yes. This is first because, like I said, they've been in line for a little while. We started talking about this late in the school year last year, early summer. Now that Act 311 is passed, we'll probably have to come to you, and we talked about that in the last board meeting about supplements for some after-school stuff. Now, it's only gonna be things that are outside of the job description and outside of the time. So for example, if something happens, and I assume that's where the question from Mr. Roberts was, that time that is spent during the day when they're contracted to be with us, that's not what this is for. It's for after-school time, practices and things like that. So we will be bringing other supplements to you, just because we're gonna have to for things that happen outside of the school day. Now, we as part of the new landscape of what education is with Act 311, that's kind of where we're at.
I was just wondering, I have no problem with this, but if your staff had identified, now I know those children with the test team, they go to competitions, weekends or whatever, and maybe we should start compiling a list so that we can just
Yes, ma'am.
take care of all of those
On it.
because we are aware of them.
Yes, ma'am. We're on it. Like I said, these folks are just a little bit before everybody else, just because they started a couple months earlier. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Van Meter, I want to echo the voices of everyone. I do support the theater program. I'd like to thank the coordinator, or I'm not sure who directs the program, but I do know that every performance I've ever attended, they were top of the line.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. But I also wanted to mention that a few months ago, I asked about reviewing the stipend for cheerleader sponsors. It just seems disproportionate to everyone else. I think it was $1,300 for the year, and I do know those cheerleaders practice.
Yeah, and what we could, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, Dr. Washington, what we can do is when we bring the other ones, I can make sure that cheerleaders are in there. Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? No need for round two. So the motion is to accept staff's recommendation to implement a supplement for the theater coach. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Second item.
And by the way, all four coaches are here.
All right.
Sorry.
Everybody's got
And just so you know, we did win nationals this summer, so they got their weekend scholarships, so, in theater.
So the other item is E-Hall pass.
Yeah, so,
Need a motion to discuss. So moved.
Second.
last year, Sulphur High brought to Dr. LaFarge, the idea of piloting E-Hall Pass along with some other schools. They spent the year working it. I think they've worked it for a couple of years now. And the idea was to bring to you tonight a presentation from those folks, so you can kind of see what this looks like. You can see how it works, because if we ran a pilot for a whole year, we figured we better report back what we've got. And you're gonna see kind of two different pieces. You're gonna see both a piece called Visitor and a piece called Pass, which is going to deal with moving in and out of class. Visitor is going to deal with when someone wants to come check out their kid, having basically them scan an ID and then have that ID checked against not only the database of folks who are acceptable to check the kid out, but then scanning that against sex offender database to make sure that we've got folks who are safe on our campus. And then the other piece they're going to go through is the pass part, which covers kids being released in and out of class, especially on the large campuses, especially middle and high school campuses. As a former high school administrator, this is a nice product to have in order to track those folks. So we'll have those folks come up and give a quick demonstration.
Yeah, that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jessie Beto. I teach at Sulphur High School. I was the one that sort of brought this program to Mr. Poole as sort of like a, hey, can we try this out as a demo? Initially, we started it 2 years ago. You got the first 90 days free. It was something that I think was a kind of a bit of a like learning curve for the first year as to how to really kind of toggle the system and flex it so that we can get the most out of it. Overall, though, we're on year 3. I think even my teachers that are not techie have really adapted to it and they love the concept of it. And we've seen the reduction in just the kids out of class. It doesn't physically track the kids. So I'm going to talk about visitor first though. And that's the aspect of it that is a check-in system. So we do have a kiosk system that they would, and I'm gonna have my friends here. This is Miss Marquetta Parker and this is Miss Carly Bertrand. They're my Vanna Whites tonight to help me. So y'all can actually see what the system would look like. But visitor is basically a management system for when people come onto campus. I love, the thing that I love about Securely is that I can still allow autonomy within the school to make decisions as to how to implement it and what would be best for each school. Sulphur has a huge school. So like where we would put the kiosks may not be the same as like a Westlake or something. They might want it with the front office ladies versus having it right outside of our front office before they actually get to see Ms. Christine and Amy. They would scan their license, as you can see on the next screen right here. When it's prompted, it asks you for your license. So you produce your license, it scans the barcode on the back. It then will say, is this you? You confirm it. By doing this, it not only runs it against the sex offender database, like Dr. Van Meter said, but we are able to put the names of parents who are no pickup parents or parents who we may have had issues with in the past on campus that are no longer allowed to possibly come on campus anymore. And so that will immediately identify them. It doesn't tell them like, oh, you've been identified. What will happen is if they happen to be one of those people that fall on these lists, and this is an example of what the sex offender registry would look like, the prompt that the person would get on the iPad is this friendly little lady saying, go see the front office ladies. Our front office ladies have a dashboard that I'll show you in a minute. That would pop up with such and such as tried to enter the campus, and then the names of any sex offenders within a certain radius would pop up in their pictures. She would then be able to kind of flip through those and either confirm that that is the person or say, no, it's not. It's obviously not, the system runs on the name and the date of birth. So if your name and date of birth happen to match a sex offender that's within 50 miles of the campus, you might get, your name might pop up and she's gonna flip through it. They have the ability to say, no, it's not any of these people, and then the person is basically allowed on campus in that sense. They're clear. It also, like I said, will intake parents' names that are not allowed to pick up and stuff like that. So again, they won't be told, they'll just be told like, little friendly, please go see the receptionist. And that's when Ms. Amy or Ms. Christie would be like, I'm so sorry, but those types of things.
Yes.
For this, I've heard about it. Right. The only question that I have is, like, I got my brand new driver's license.
Yes, sir. So it does allow you, it'll say, the first prompt says, do you have, like, when you get to the license part, it'll say, I don't have it on me. At that point, it asks you for your full name, first name, last name, and then your date of birth, and it'll run you that way. vehicles.
Picture of it.
It won't pull your picture up, it will prompt you to take a picture, because if you're going to be on campus long-term, it can print ID badges with the picture from your license. So like for our contractors and things like that that come on, they would have a badge that would have their name and it would have their picture ID. And again, that's something that the system allows you to toggle. At Sulphur High, we may choose not to print badges for parents that are just coming to check out a person, a kid, because they're literally just taking a couple of steps to go see the same university and check their child out. But they verify that this person is not on the sex offender list, also not a parent, that's a no pickup parent type thing.
So if they put in their name and their birthday, it just runs against that, doesn't have any way to verify that.
So the system connects with JCampus, not directly with JCampus, but we have an SIS connection with it, much like we use for PASS. And so essentially, my name is attached to my children's name on Sulphur High School. So when I scan my license, the only children that I would be able to actually say that I want to check out are any children that are associated with my name on JCampus. It does also have a feature, and that was something that me and Dr. Van Meter had talked about and kind of worked through, that, you know, we have the little box at the bottom of JCampus, I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about, where you can put kind of extra checkout people, I guess is the best way to explain it. Those names kind of just don't go anywhere. But what happens is if like this Parker came to check out my son Bruno, it would then say, oh, well, you're not associated with this child. What is the guardian's contact number? She would have to know the contact number that I have on file in JCampus associated with my child. It would text me and it would say, Marquetta Parker is trying to check out Brigham at SHS. Here's the code for her to do so. I would have to text her a 5-digit code that she would enter into the iPad. And that essentially is kind of that, it blesses off that union, that I've approved it as a parent. And then we also have the oversight of our front office staff. So even if they are denied, we do have somebody that would be actually physically personally looking at it to make sure. If you you're not on the list and your name is clear, the next prompt you would get, and again, this is something that's completely customizable as to how each school and what the prompts are that they see next. So like for Sulphur High, we put that, are you checking a child out? Are you going to see the counselor? Are you meeting with admin? Things like that. But you can add as many as you want, and it can be customized to whatever that school needs and what would be their, like, why would you somebody coming on campus. Once they select the reason, it then will give them the congratulations screen. At that point, if the staff has toggled on for the badge to be printed for that type of visit, so say they're going to have a meeting with the counselor, Sulphur High would have a badge being printed for those parents, because obviously they're not just getting a child in the front office and then directly leaving. They're coming on to the main part of what we consider the campus, because they're actually having to go through the security doors into the main part of the school. So they would get a badge printed. They would go see our front office, and then they would let them into the main part of the school. So you get the little congratulations screens, and then it starts over again. So I was gonna let them show you a demo if y'all would like to see one with scanning my license, to see how it comes up, and she has to kind of bring it up there. If y'all want to see that, I can do that for you, or I can continue on with PASS right now.
Yes.
That's okay. Does anybody have any questions for?
Mr. Pichon?
I'll just add, I'd like to see the
Oh, okay.
They on that driver?
If you can do yours, then it's gonna tell you like, sorry, you have no child. You're gonna get to go see the secretary.
So it's site specific.
Yes, ma'am, it just needs to the specific school. Each school, so like there are 6 schools that currently use PASS right now. There are 6 schools that currently use PASS. Visitor is a new aspect of it, but it just came live a couple of months ago. It took a little bit of time to get tech set up and to actually see if it would work and if we could get our SIS to talk with it, and for all the pieces to line up for it to work properly. But it is working. We have not, used it in full force at Sulphur High, but we have done a lot of kind of playing around with it, seeing what would be the best way to implement it and all of those things. Again, it's something that is incredibly easy to manipulate. So if it's not working this day, we're immediately changing it on the dashboard, and we're gonna do whatever we need to make it work better for our school. And that's like I said, that for me as a teacher, having that autonomy in my classroom to make decisions about certain things, not visitor, but when we get to pass, that's very important to me. But it's also important that admin gets oversight for the, entirety of the school.
I've just got a question, So the schools that are currently implementing this, are they paying for their own funds or,
Yeah, so the schools that are currently implementing this are paying for it out of their own funds. I think the exception may have been that Sulphur paid half and the district paid half as part of a pilot. So that was just this past year, yes.
Yes, sir.
So the rest are using things like other funds in order to pay.
so are you asking schools to pay for this if they want, or are you recommending?
Well, I view this as, in my mind anyway, two separate products, right? So something like this, that is the visitor piece, I think the price is like $500 a school. That to me is well worth it in order to do this. Now, there's a little bit of other setup that's involved in terms of printers and scanners and things like that. But that type of investment to me, for every school is well worth it. The other piece that they're currently paying for, because this piece right here that you're looking at right now, like Ms. Beto said, is new, right? The piece that they've been running for a little bit in other
This will
schools.
be our third year.
Yeah,
And it's like,
you're gonna see next is going in and out of class. That's what they're currently paying for themselves, because to be honest with you, at an elementary school, I wouldn't even look at that as a piece. Because for that, to me, those kids aren't gonna be moving in and out like a middle school or a high school would be in and out of class. And even then, some of your smaller high schools may not necessarily need it. So they're paying for it right now as they need it. And it's a lot of your larger middle schools and high schools that are doing it. But some of I did send out a quick form to see who would be interested. And we've got mid-sized and even smaller schools that are interested in it as well. That's the second piece she's gonna show you.
But just my question, I mean, we'll still need to see the presentation, but this price, is that just based on what you're doing now, or has anybody talked to the company and tried to negotiate maybe a lower price if we were gonna scale it up?
I've talked to them quite a few times. I have a contact that I've used for the entirety of us using this. Her name's Sarah. She's been really great. Currently, if we were to do full parish for middle, high, and then elementary visitor only, our price per student for the middle and high would be $3.60.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying.
So what does happen is as the larger the number that's participating, the cheaper it becomes for everyone.
So if nothing else, I can see buying this in bulk and having the school, if the school's gonna pay for it, right? In order to get the bulk price, because what happens is, if I'm at Westlake High School and I'm buying it, I'm gonna pay way more than the $3.60. Does that make sense?
Sulphur High currently pays $465, and Sulphur 9 pays $475 a student.
So we may be able to save Sulphur High $3,000 a year just by buying in bulk. Does that make sense? But I do see something different in the visitor piece, like I said, for 500. And so we broke that out separate for you on there, for the elementary schools versus the pass piece. It's 50 grand for the other piece, I think somewhere around 16 for the, 16A. So that's the whole district for everything, but middle and high having the piece that you're fixing to see with getting out of class. But understand, like, that, I know that's a lot of money, so we would have to do that, every year that we have this. But I definitely see value in the $500 a school period that the district will be able to pick up.
You ladies have work with him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So they had the whole second piece, right? So this, what you just saw was the visitor piece. They've got the hall pass piece, which as a former high school administrator, I gotta admit is pretty cool. And I could,
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Look, I oversee this at school every year. We have to train new teachers. I'm very much used to the questions. So PASS is the second part of it. And honestly, this was what I had kind of pushed for when I initially saw and just found this product, Mr. Poole. There was quite a bit of begging involved, but I got my way. So what this does is it does not track the kids. We were very conscious to not use that word because that was something that we were conscious of that some parents could be like, oh, I don't want you tracking my child. It's a time management system. It's very much like you're clocking in and you're clocking out to work. It tracks any time a student leaves a classroom during class periods. So very simply, the dashboard is very, very simple. The thing you see on the right here, where it says now pass and appointment pass, that is what a student sees. It is very simple. It's very almost elementary type looking. All the little figures you see, the teachers' names, those students can actually put in their teachers. So they would go in and manipulate it in their schedule each year. So if they do need to go somewhere, it's very quick for them to open it up. I need to go see Beto, she's right there, and they click submit. There's different type of passes, and I'm gonna go into that just a little bit, but the dashboard overall is available for all teachers. So at any given point, if I have a student that I haven't seen in my 4th hour and the bell's rang and I'm like, where is he? I can look on PASS and see, well, maybe he was in the counselor's office and he's still there because that timer would still be running for him. He would still be on that live active PASS. The students can engage the system 2 different ways. They can engage it from their laptops on Launchpad. It's an app there. And the majority of the teachers have set up kiosks, and I'm gonna let them bring them around to sample. I have some IDs of my children and Dr. Van Meer's son, so you can actually see what the students see if they were in a classroom asking to go somewhere. One of the things I love is that it doesn't take away from me teaching. I can be up talking, and when I set up classroom procedures, I tell them I teach 12th graders. But if you need to go to the bathroom, I'm gonna let you go. Like, unless it becomes a problem, then you can go if you need to go, because if I understand. But I can be talking and my kids will be like, and they go to the kiosk, they make the pass. I actually get a notification on my watch. So if you have the app on your phone, if you have an Apple Watch, it'll vibrate. So I know that they have created the pass, started their timer. They go to the bathroom, they come back, they go to the kiosk, and they'll end their pass. I get the same notification. I haven't stopped doing anything. I've continued on. They went to the bathroom, they come back, okay? The other thing that is really, really, really cool about this is that it does have a lot of safety features built in. With this tool, I think the pollers are probably some of my teachers' favorite aspect of it, which I'll talk about, but the safety aspect is a big one. So me and Ms. Parker and our admin are all admins on the system. If, let's say, the dogs were to come on campus, at any given time, and this is actually a screenshot of Sulphur High's dashboard, at any given time, we have a limit of 30 passes, period, the end. If that limit is reached, no passes will be given. Kids will get a message, sorry, no passes are available. If, let's say, we know the dogs are coming on, I would go and click that number and put it to 0. What will happen at that point is anybody that does try to engage the system, even teachers, are told no. And then you can see all of the kids that are on active passes fall back into their classrooms and those passes in. So when you get to that 0 and you see no activity on the live dashboard, you know that everybody's back where they're supposed to be. It also allows you, again, it's very customizable. With Sulphur High School, we have basically one set of large bathrooms in Building 4, if you've ever been there. There are 8 stalls in there, and I know this because I went and counted them over the summer to make sure. So at any given time, we have 8 children going potty, because that's all we have. If the children go, they go up and try it, they'll tell me, I'll look at like, it's busy right now. Oh, you're gonna have to drive in later. And so I love that it limits any type of location. When you set up your system for your school, you put in locations for your school specifically. And then you can manipulate those numbers how you want to manipulate them. Lewis, for example, they have, I think, 3 sets of bathrooms. Their numbers are at 4 for each bathroom because they are a little bit more spread out. And so that's something that the campuses have toggled with that use it. Sulphur High 9th is also on 4 per bathroom. But again, they have 4 sets of bathroom versus our 1 large set. The other thing is that we can limit our students. So this is our fresh new year. I've erased the students' last names. Every year, our students are given 4 passes per day. Those are passes that they make. Once they reach that 4 limit cap, they no longer have passes available for the day. We do have the ability to put in our medical students. So any students that have a medical pass for bathroom usage, I put them in individually, and they have a set amount of passes more than the 4 every day, because they obviously have medical excuses for that. What happens though is I run reports, usually every 2 weeks, the first couple of weeks of school, and then about every month. When I run those reports, I can see students who have been out and who's been out the longest. I think last year, our top winner over the 9 weeks was 46 hours. He took a week vacation to do that.
Yes. Like, we're not joking.
No, like that was actually 46 hours, 52 minutes. He took a week vacation. So obviously his passes were cut down. He no longer had 4. When we do run reports, I send them to admins over email. They'll call in, usually that the top few students, have conversations with them, tell them, hey, look, this is your warning, or hey, look, this is the second time I've talked to you. You're not going to go down to 2 passes because clearly you don't know how to manage your time. You know, if you're in the bathroom more than 10 minutes, you're not doing bathroom things in my mind. So love that part of it. And again, all customizable per school. The other thing, and this is our teacher's favorite thing, is the pollers. So we have students, we teach high school kids, you know, sometimes they're a little too lovey or a little too angry at each other, whatever that may be. Or they just like to be around each other way too much. And so we have the ability to put pollers into the system. That means that if the first student, Jeremy, is on a pass currently, and Dalen tries to activate the system, he is told, sorry, your friend is out right now that you cannot be out with. Try again later. What I love about it is you can actually see how many times the students have tried to turn the system together. 1,287 times. It denies them every time. But, you know, and so that is something that as a campus, we have our teachers. I'm not everywhere, our admin's not everywhere, and we know the kids that we teach. And so I'll get emails like, hey, can we put such and such as pollers, please? You know, they're always out together. I see them constantly. If we have students that have cease and desist, yes, restraining orders and cease and desist, those are in the system. So again, regardless if the student is making the pass or if the teacher is making the pass, the system is automatically going to say, hey, this kid can't be out because there's another kid out at the same time that they're not supposed to be out with. That has greatly reduced things for us. Our frequent flyers, as we would call them, they all of a sudden find themselves in class quite a bit. Not that that makes them happy, but it's where they need to be. Usually our frequent flyers also make our top list when I run reports, just, you know. The other thing is we can block periods of time that no passes can be given. Sulphur High School has 2 lunches. So during first lunch or second lunch, no passes are given. You have to wait. Because obviously if you're, I have said my kids have second lunch. If you need to go to the bathroom during first lunch, 1, it's 30 minutes. You can hold it for a little bit. You should have went all the way to class. 2, you probably just want to go see your friend. You don't really want to go to the bathroom because they have to walk by all of them to get to the bathrooms. So we just decided to block lunches altogether. That doesn't mean there's about a 20-minute period still within the class that they can go. It's just during that lunch period, they're not allowed to make passes. And the system will automatically deny them. It also allows for our like fuel type scheduling. If I have students that need to make up a test, they miss something with me, they will schedule appointments. Again, I have seniors. I want them to be the one to schedule the appointment because then I have documentation that they actually engaged the system. They knew that they were missing stuff and they chose to be active and come make that up. They're showing the initiative. Again, I do teach the older kids and I want them to have that accountability because that's where they're about to be going anyway. Some of my people that teach, some of the younger ones, that Parker teaches 10, she probably makes appointments for them. What I love about this is that it emails the student the day before, an hour before they also get an email, and the teachers get a reminder. If the students don't show up, we have now a record of that they did not appear for that appointment that was scheduled. Because the students have to accept the appointment. So they knew it was there, they just didn't do it. So, is there any questions before we do the demo?
Each classroom teacher is operating this in their classrooms and there, or is it being fed to an office or a division of the school where someone else is doing it?
No, ma'am. So the system, year one was, you know, kind of a bit of a rocky start for us. We just weren't quite sure how to set it up. We're now on year three, and I've helped two other schools set theirs up, Barb and Lewis. And I was like, look, here's all the things we did wrong on year one, and here's all the things that would make your life easier to just hit the ground running. Each teacher has the decision as to whether or not they set up a kiosk, which is where the students walk up, they engage it with their IDs. I had tech, I worked with tech last year to get it set up to where we actually can use barcode scanners. And so the kids literally just have to walk up and be like, I need to make a pass, go to the bathroom, they scan their ID, it populates their info up, and they start their time. But they can also do it from their laptop. The teachers, really and truly, there's very little oversight for teachers, especially when you start getting into the middle school, high school age. Again, I feel like it's something that these kids, it's teaching them accountability for time. At the end of the day, if you need to go to the bathroom, you need to make a pass. We're at that point where they should be responsible for the things that they need to do. If you need to go see the counselor, they can make a pass to go see the counselor. The other thing that's nice about the passes is, and they'll show it to you in just a second, they both teach both my children, God bless them. Let's say one of them is like, I need to see my mom about something. And they'll be like, you didn't know she wants to see you. And they'll be like, yeah. They can make a pass as a teacher to send my child to me, and it can be left hanging on the system. I would get my thing would ding. And I would know, like, oh, somebody tried to make a pass to me. I would go look, and I could just say, no, I don't want to see him right now. And the pass goes away. And that would work for the kids too. So it's not always, yes, you make a pass, you get to go. And again, just because they ask to go to the bathroom does not mean any teacher has to let them right in that moment. You know, some of our kids ask to go to those inopportune times, I feel like. And as an adult, or soon to be adult, they need to understand that there's a time and place sometimes.
Absolutely. Also, because I do have a lot of sophomores, and I do like the fact that with the whole pass, it's more than just factors, it's just getting in and out of your classroom. Hey, can I go get this assignment from a biology teacher? They can go on their laptop, make a pass. That biology teacher can do two things, either accept it and say, yes, you can grab that paper, or they just decline it and say, oh, buddy, sorry, share a little something, so you just have to wait and you go to the class or whatnot. So it's for any sort of motion in and out of the classroom. And it helps and it keeps them accountable, because then once they start the pass, the timer goes, they know you have to like go there and back. So everything, so all of this are accounted for, and it keeps it, holds them accountable.
The kids get flagged at 10 minutes.
With
So for the majority of the passes at 10 minutes, they're flagged. And so when we do run reports, it's very easy to see those kids that have let those passes run consistently. And so at 10 minutes, their timer is now no longer green, it's turned yellow, because you're obviously not doing bathroom things after 10 minutes. It's sort of the way we, look at it. And so it is very helpful. I was gonna put it on the live dashboard real quick, just so y'all can kind of see. And this is the same dashboard where Visitor also is. Everything is integrated. It's all under one umbrella and securely, which is really nice that it's all in one, platform if you're an admin overseeing things. The teacher side of it is a little bit simpler. They don't have all the buttons to push. Yeah, it's just your kids that you would see. But I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then they were gonna walk around and let y'all see how the kids would actually make a pass if they were asked to go to the bathroom or something.
As a student, if they have a temporary ID, it doesn't have a barcode, so they can still type in their student ID number, and it'll still make a pass.
Correct. You don't have to have this pass. They just literally type their ID number in once. So my watch is going off right now, somebody just made a pass. And so I can see that Paxton, if you see how it came up right there. Paxton is now on a pass, and you can see that he's running. Is it to 90? Oh, okay, it's already in it. So every teacher has the ability to set a number of students that are allowed out of their room. So at any given moment, my class can only have 2 classes. Yeah. Oh, you have started time. Okay.
So, this is what the kids see, so I'm.
So I'll just kind of talk today. You see at the very top of this, where it says building passes, you can see today in total, Sulphur High has 413 passes. My teachers love the pollers and the limits. Like I get emails, especially at the very beginning of school as we're kind of getting to know our kids. Because again, we're not everywhere. And so you'll be in the hall and you'll see the same 2 kids some days. And I got an email yesterday actually, like, hey, I've seen them like 4 times together. Can we put them in pollers? Absolutely, done. It takes 2 seconds to enter in pollers. And then we can set limits on those. So like our pollers usually run the whole year, but you can do it for a 2-week period. Lewis does sort of like a punishment type thing where they like kind of punish them for 2 weeks and then it falls off the system because you can put times for how long their passes are limited. We choose just to do the whole year and they kind of have to year notice that they can earn that. Oh, so you're gonna see what a teacher pass looks like right now, which is a freebie. When we explain this, teacher passes don't burn a kid's limit. So if the kids get 4 passes, a teacher pass is a freebie. My kid is having a meltdown, they come see me immediately. Or I have a student that needs to go see Ms. Domingue because I cannot answer whatever it is that needs answered. I'm making them a teacher pass. I'm making the decision as the, the leader of my classroom that this student needs to go. So she made one for Brigham, and you can see that the pass is already running because I have to click that he's either arrived to me or if he's an in and out. Hey, he's just bringing me something, and then he's heading right back, so that's why I'm gonna say that it's an in and out. And I click that he's in and out. Carly now knows that he should be heading back that way, and every single time I click something, my watch is vibrating, by the way. And not everybody has those, but a lot of our teachers do. And it's very useful that you can just continue talking and they've gone and I know that they've made the pass and started the timer.
You ladies have time for a few more questions?
Absolutely.
Keyshawn?
Yeah, they answered a lot just now for me, so I appreciate that. This is a annual cost, I think, maybe you're saying correct?
Yes,
And it's
sir.
gonna be the same amount every year, there's not like just an upfront purchase we have to make and it goes down or anything like that.
Not that I'm aware, but that doesn't mean that somebody from the district can negotiate with them. Like I said, I've been the one that's kind of been dealing with it, just because I had established a relationship initially when we piloted this 2 years ago. That does not mean that the number might not go down if there is, somebody else having a conversation. And I'd be more than happy to introduce Sarah to them. She's been extremely helpful and has, carried her back herself.
I'm sure I'd like to see if we can get that number lower for sure. It's definitely can be a good system potentially, so.
I will say that our findings have decreased since we've had this system. So just to kind of give you some numbers, and these are big numbers, okay? Just prepare yourself, because I realized when I actually did the numbers, how large they were. Again, we're a school of almost 2,000 kids. But Sulphur High, our first year, where did I put that? Our first year, which was 22-23, just in bathroom passes, we had 43,500 for the year. It's a large number, I know, I was shocked when I did it. And then last year, we dropped down to 36,900. It's still a big number, but we are a campus of 2,000 kids, and that's 180 days and 4 passes a day. Right, and not all the kids use the 4 passes a day. Many of them, some of them don't use any passes because they go during class, but they are available to them in between classes, but they are available to them. And again, the number 4 is totally, that can be manipulated per campus. If they believe their students only need 2, we get 4 because of the fact that we really only have 1 set of bathrooms at Sulphur High, and 4 minutes to get from one class to another and also use the bathroom that may have a line is kind of tight. So 4 passes is kind of where we've settled into. But again, we do limit kids regularly. When I run reports, if they've been out constantly, they're flagged constantly, they're getting limited. So.
And this is for Dr. Van Meter, but before I ask the question, I want you to know, I looked online and the initial cost was $29 per kid. And for us to pay $3, that's good negotiating, even though that may not be what you're trying to do, but I have to commend you on that. Dr. Van Meter, last year we received a grant from the Louisiana Department of Education to address safety issues. Would this fall under that, or, because it really is safety?
It's possible.
Mhm.
So we can look into that as a possibility. But as it is right now, we've got schools that are paying for it, but we can look at that as a possibility.
Okay.
We can also do contact tracing on it. That's one other tool that's on there that I really didn't go into. But let's say we have a student, I could type his name in and put in a time period, and I can see every time that another student that has been out with him and whether or not their locations overlapped. So that's also helpful. It's very nice. So like if we have suspicion that 2 are maybe up to something, we could type in name number 1. And like literally I did yesterday and I had one that I think had 8 pages over a 2-week period.
Just one other quick question. Because we have such a diverse community, if a parent came in and was on the list, do we have specific protocols to address that?
So if somebody's on the list like that, then, and we have to contact law enforcement, we would do that. We do have law enforcement on campus. But it's not gonna, like Ms. Beto said, it's not gonna start red flagging and dinging. It'll notify the person in front who's gonna be able to handle that a little bit more
And I answered
strictly.
so we have an emergency system built into this, but I actually meant to say that earlier. Thank you for reminding me. So the visitor aspect of it does have an emergency setting. If a sex offender is identified and she clicks like confirm, that's who that is, they will immediately have a box pop up that says, do you want to notify your security team? And they would click yes. Let's say we have an irate parent in the office, all they have to do, and Ms. Ao is on the thing, so you're gonna get a text message and an email in just a second. So right there, I just clicked emergency. I could have a parent screaming at me. She has no idea what I'm doing technically. And then I click send, and you can customize the message and who all gets the message. So you basically get to put who you want on your security team, your emergency team. And they immediately get a text message saying, I think yours is gonna say like emergency at SHS campus, please respond ASAP. So that's part of the system built in.
First, thank y'all for coming and presenting. I know this isn't your company, but, you're definitely excited about it, no doubt.
It is something that we really do like I said, and Lewis has used it. Barb is now, this is gonna be their first year. I went and did some training with them in December. Sam Houston is very interested in it. I think everybody kind of waited to see how it was gonna pan out with the school of our size, like, let's just see how it works. But now that we actually can show that, like, we love it. And honestly, the kids initially, year one, they were like, what do you want it's gonna be doing? I was like, what do you want it's gonna be doing? That's how like adulting works.
So do you find that every teacher's participating, or do you have some teachers say, look, it's not working, just go to the bathroom and they move on? Is it mandatory at?
It is mandatory. It is not an option. When a student leaves your room, they are on a pass or they don't go.
Okay.
And that's the bottom line. Initially, when we first started, I can also see how, what
I'm going anywhere,
teachers,
Dr. Hammond.
I can also, when I run reports, I can see how many passes teachers are giving out. So I can identify our teachers that maybe are giving too many passes. I can identify our teachers that are maybe giving no passes. And so that's one of those things that I kind of go have a conversation with them, or Marquetta does, and I'm like, hey, do you need help setting it up? Do you want me to help you kind of figure out how this will work best in your classroom? And then we kind of see how that goes. And then if that doesn't go well and they're still continuing to either not engage or engage too much, that's an admin, we'll go have a conversation with them.
Because if a teacher gives a bathroom pass to a kid that is above the floor, right?
Correct.
So they're basically getting a free pass if the teacher makes it for them. So then the whole amount of limits is pointless. So that's why they have to have those conversations, like, hey, don't make the teacher pass for the bathroom, because you're basically giving them a freebie. And then the polars come into play, everything else.
I can see the benefit in the visitor kiosk or whatever. I don't know if it fits for every school. There's so many different sizes of schools. My only problem with this tonight is we don't know, we have one here, 14 middle high schools, 23 elementary middle. We don't have a firm number from the company. We don't know how many of them really are gonna use it. And we don't really know what the final cost is gonna be, and yes, it's over $70,000 annually. And I have no problem, if a school comes to me and says, no, I wanna use it, I'm gonna buy into it, and we're gonna use it 100%, and not just let it sit there and just roll that money out there, then I wouldn't have a problem supporting it, but I would like to see a cost share or a funding source from CPSB, proposal from staff here. How are we gonna pay for it exactly? Is it gonna be a cost share? Could some of the, like the visitor check-in kiosk, could that be security related? Going to the bathroom probably.
Yeah,
not.
so what I would propose is for us to go ahead and pick up the $495 a school and cover that. So for all of the elementary schools and then even for the middle and high. Can we add the visitor standalone?
Standalone, if the school currently uses pass, the price is not $495.
How much is it?
It depends on the size of the school.
Okay, then it's by the kid.
So
So we
we
only
have
have-
to, we
That's
have
my
to go from a
point. That's
passport
my
to
point. I wanna
passport.
see a proposal
Right.
from this company on what we want,
Okay.
instead of just approving this tonight. It's not really a formal bid, it's information the best
Yes,
available.
and that's part of what tonight was, right?
No,
Was
I
to show you what this does and what it's capable of.
So,
There are some definite positives that I see that every school could benefit from. And there are some things that I think a lot of schools could benefit from. And you're right, if a school's super small or, not using the fast piece, I could see. But just doing some quick math, if I'm at Westlake High School and I've got 500 kids, right, for about $1,800, I pick this up. If at the $3.60. If I have to buy it on my own, it gets a whole lot more expensive. So I do see the negotiating power of the district as a whole, being able to negotiate down for everybody in order to buy a cheaper price.
So, yeah, I'd like to see a proposal. We can, I don't want to act on it tonight. If y'all want to vote on it, that's fine, but I don't know what we're voting on. I'd like to see a proposal that's custom to what we think we really want, whether we're just doing the visitor, we're doing the pass and everything, and if the school's really gonna use it, if the school's gonna pay for it, are we gonna pay for it? Are we gonna pay for the visitor kiosk or the visitor pass? Are they gonna pay for the hall passes? What's it look like? I would vote on that, but I don't feel prepared that I can vote on this tonight because I don't have any firm numbers. It's exciting. I can see the benefits of it, but, I just think.
I do have
we need to be a
copies
little
of the
more
individual
responsible
breakdown if you would like to see
taxpayers.
that. So I do have those detailed numbers, like I was afraid to review them too much, I guess, just all at once.
But I want to see a proposal from Dr. Van Meter.
You got it.
In writing,
okay.
something I can see beforehand.
Absolutely.
Roger
You
that.
can put behind, okay, so Stark doesn't want it, if Quincy does, or, Barber Elementary does, St. John does. I prefer to see that,
Okay,
so,
understood.
thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Some of my questions were just brought up and asked. Now, as much money as we spend on fences and what we did with security, that we put in there, I don't see this as a significant number overall for what our normal budget is as far as for the safety of the kids. I look at, it's convenience, not the correct word to it. Benefit to y'all to be able to manage like you say, the adulting of kids. A lot of kids have no understanding of responsibility. They get out in the real world and it slaps you real hard. They send us to teach them, but they also want us to raise them. You don't have to do it. So this is the way to kind of inject some of that in there. I don't see this as a big number, for the benefit that we would get for the students and everything else. I would imagine, I think we brought up earlier, the disruptions on the campuses would probably help a lot less, heck of a lot less.
A lot less. So admin also, and it's an app on your phone, so at any given time, if admin's walking around, they can look at the app to see
What kids are out.
who's supposed to be walking around. And very quickly, like, well, your pass has been running for 11 minutes, why are you just like wandering around the courtyard? Because although we love to think that that's not what they do, they do. Our frequent flyers tend to find themselves just wandering around sometimes.
That's what I see. Other than what, okay, I have a class management, time management, accountability and all of that, I see that as the biggest benefit out of all of it. Because if you got administrators not having to go put out this fine, or the security team has to go put out that fine, run over here, doing there, and you've got the ability to be able to keep a couple makers away from each
And
other.
that's essentially, I think for our campus, that was kind of the big thing that was the seller for ours, was like the kids that you constantly have to say, go to class, why are you out, what are you doing, who's where you're supposed to be, they no longer are allowed out anymore, because it just doesn't let them.
And we know that the different size of the schools has a lot to do with the amount of funds that they may or may not have to be able to afford something like this. I don't want that to become a hindrance or burden on some of those small schools that may want this for whatever the reasons are that they cannot afford it. I think we as a board, as much money as we spend on different things coming out of everywhere, ought to look at this as for more than what is being presented, look at the overall picture that, or if a smaller school wants that and they don't have the X amount of dollars to be able to do that, then the board ought to be able to come in and cost share some of that, or if they've got funds or grants or whatever they can use to kind of help them. I just see the, kind of look at the bigger picture of this. I mean, when it comes back, if it's an affordability issue on that, have that on the side for us to kind of be able to discuss. It's like, we're fine with picking up part of this or all of it or whatever. Now that doesn't mean we go at 68 campuses, all of a sudden all 68 campuses are flat work. That's not where I'm going with that. You know what I mean? I don't want it if it's a,
Like I said, a medium-sized campus, I'm thinking of a Westlake High School, right? So just running the numbers real quick, at $3.60, you're looking at about $1,800. Let's say the district picked up $500 of that in order to handle the scan-in piece, right? Now I'm dealing with $1,300 that, as the principal of Westlake High School, I gotta come out of pocket for. That's something I can get behind.
But yeah, you know what I mean. It's-
Yeah, but even at a Sulphur High.
So part of, like, when we started this and we knew that there was going to be payment involved, I also oversee registration at Sulphur High School, so we made a couple of changes as far as like financial choices to where therefore, like, it was covered. I actually made good money on the front end because we made a couple of changes with, we no longer, the locker fee is no longer a $5 fee, it's just part of the registration fee, which overwhelmingly covers this, and then part of that also went to another thing that they needed. So at the end of the day, we actually ended up making more money on registration, and I oversee registration, so I think currently we have 52 kids that haven't paid registration fees out of 2,000 kids.
But-
it's a process.
And I do hear what you say about a smaller school event, for example, that's a good bit smaller. But the thing to remember there too is his price would be smaller that he has to pay. And if we turn around and pick up, let's say $500 out of that, then that's still a bigger percentage that we're taking off of his than we would take off of Sulphur Highs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we understand that. One of them wants it, and they're limited on what they can do, they don't have grant funds.
Yes, sir.
Out of school, whatever.
Yeah. Track.
Mr. Reynolds?
All right, Mr. Bro, kind of tagged on that. So I was thinking, on the next meeting, or can we get a poll of all schools who want to participate? That
Yeah.
would give us a better idea of
So-
how much we would possibly pay.
Yes, ma'am. So you have on your sheet there, the number of schools that are interested in participating, like, as of the close of the poll.
So did anybody have objections?
Now, granted, I didn't tell them, hey, you're gonna have to pay this. I was like, hey, look,
Right.
if this is interest, if this is what you want, right, would you want to pursue this?
That was my next question, asking,
Yeah.
do they know they came with a price tag?
In terms of the exact price, I told them what the price was as a district, but didn't tell them, hey, you would have to come up with this, because to be honest with you, I wanted to put it before y'all so you can see what this is all about anyway.
I think this is a very good program, it's just the cost, like we
It's-
tagging on costs every year to everybody, I don't know if we can do it through registration fees, or is there some type of fundraisers the school can do, or is there
Probably any combination of those, as well as if a school has the money already, if they have it within their budget, they could certainly do it. And like I said, depending on the size of the school, it may not be that much, especially if we turn around and pick up the visitor piece of it. We're gonna take off, even for a smaller school, a greater percentage than we would for a bigger school.
Okay, and I have one more question, and I'm done. What happens if we have a parent who has a common name, say Thibodeau, like Larry Thibodeau comes into the school and he scans and be listed as a sex offender, but his date of birth may be off by 1 or 2 numbers, and maybe somebody else.
Like on the thing that I showed you, they actually get a pop-up screen when your name or date of birth is very close to a registered sex offender. The screen would pop up and look like this, and they could actually have to flip through maybe 4 or 5 of the actual sex offender, like, pictures that are in the database. And for each one, they either click like not a match or match. So it could be very well that they go through 4 photos and none of them are a match. But because it just so happens that person, once it's done though, once they've come in and they've engaged the system once, and our secretary has said that they're not a match, it stays for 90 days roughly.
Okay, is that a local, or is it a national database?
It's a national
Okay,
database.
that's my next one, is what if we have somebody out of Florida?
It's a national database.
I have a question now here.
Well, Mr. Benny?
Dr. Van Meter, are you satisfied, I guess, with the, kind of what Mr. Roberts said, does somebody from the district level need to talk to this company and try to negotiate, or maybe?
We can, before we go any further, we can certainly do that. I can tell you that even this price is lower than anybody's paying right now too. So we'll get it, of course, as low as we can.
And just,
But even like right now, at the $3.60, I think she said that Sulphur High is paying right now like $4.50 or something like that. So they would be saving money there immediately just by.
I'm not saying no, I just think maybe we need a more concrete.
Understood.
Fine, you know,
They would let her negotiate all of our contracts.
There you go.
Usually get what I want.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo what Mr. Roberts said, I'd like to see concrete numbers from them and everything else, explore, like Dr. Washington said, and if we could use grant money to possibly cover some of this. Two things, one, I know you said they can click, I don't have an ID, and they take their pictures, is that using kind of like AI to scan the database and see if there's any match or anything like that?
It
They
strictly
just
goes off,
lie?
it runs against the National Sex Offender Database, but it is the name and the date of birth.
Okay, so, but they don't have to, I'm just hypothetically, if they type in something Joe Bob and their name's actually Jim.
But then that name wouldn't be in the database anyway, so they would have to be coming in page.
Okay, I was just curious, 'cause Yeah, I know with all the stuff, you take a picture and say, oh, this matches.
Right, yeah.
So I was just hoping on that one. But like I said, my only issue is, I just need to think we need to be careful nowadays with all these recurring charges that we're taking on, that we're gonna have every year. It used to be, you bought your books, you're done, you're not having those recurring charges. And like Dr. Mr. Rose said, it's like, it's not a big cost, but these costs add up. It's the same thing, you sign up for Disney Plus and Paramount and all this other stuff, and before you know it, you're spending $120 in streaming services. This is our streaming services. We need to be careful about what all we're signing up for, because it's gonna get out of hand very quickly possibly. So, thank you.
Yes, Dr. Van Meter, I see the 14 middle and high schools that are interested in the 23 elementary schools. Have they been in service, those schools? Are they as familiar with this program as I am tonight, having seen it for the first time? You ladies did an amazing job, but how do they know if they want it? Have they been in service?
So some of the schools have been in service by Ms. Beto, just because they had questions and reached out and she did a demo.
I met over the summer at Lewis, and did it with I think there was 8.
So these 14 and these 23 have not been in service, but those that you're familiar with and actually reached out to you. So, these
Additionally,
numbers are not
No, of the
Additionally-
14, I've met with probably about 8 of them.
8 of the
They
schools.
are very, not very familiar, but they're aware of the product. As teachers, we have friends at other schools. And so that's kind of gotten out that way, and they've shown them and kind of spoke of our success and love of it. A lot of the admins, like Mr. Stronghoff, at Westlake, he actually reached out to, quite a few of us at Sulphur High just to get pros and cons. And I love that he reached out to my teachers that were probably the ones that were the biggest, like, absolutely not, this is something else I'm gonna have to do. And those are the ones he reached out to, and they were like, no, I love it now. Like,
Okay, that was my concern. How do we know that they want it but you shared that with me. Now, I concur with most of the conversation up here. The most impressive part to me was this visitor's pass. And I don't think elementary teachers would buy into this like middle and high school.
the pass aspect, no ma'am, I don't see those children being engaging in the activities that we find for our middle and.
That would be a headache for an elementary
So
teacher.
what we did for you, Ms. Gay, is when we got the quote, we did it for 14,000 students. And what that is middle and high school students.
Oh, okay.
It is not elementary school students. The 14,000 is the middle and high, right? And then the other students would just be elementary for the actual visitor to scan.
The visitor scan,
Correct.
that's what I'm most
Yes.
impressed with.
So we did that separate. The $3.60 actually includes the visitor scan.
Okay, so are you saying that it's possible that the elementary schools could have the visitor pass portion of it and not the other?
Yes, ma'am. And it's broken out like that. That's how it's
Okay,
broken
so
out.
when you,
That's what I would foresee.
Okay, so when staff decides to do their research, then that's what they will be basing it on. Middle and high schools, both parts of the program, elementary students, one part of the program. Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna change the motion that we have on here. Instead of voting it up or down tonight, I want to change the motion to where we go to staff and have staff come back on a school by school basis, what the cost will be, cost sharing on it, be able to come out with us, so we'll have a better idea of the total. Yeah, and then bring it back to the board and we can up or down. I don't think we need to go to committee again. Yeah, just bring it back to the full board and we'll do it. It's gonna pass. It's just doing it that way makes it easier and cleaner for us to be able to do a great job on presentations. I know I've changed that.
And I do have breakdowns of like the individual costs for the 6 schools that use it currently, and you can kind of base the numbers off of those schools as to what it would cost the other schools, because it's roughly based on your population.
Yeah, doing that, well, we'll get, that way we'll know what schools want it, opt in, what parts they want, what parts they don't want to go from here. So I changed the motion, I'm gonna do second. Somebody did it, I don't remember. It's ready, second. All right, we're ready to go.
Ms. Ayo?
Being a middle school teacher is amazing, knowing where, and it definitely comes under safety, because the cease and assist for one thing, or he said, she did, she said, whatever. I love the past, I think that's safety, I think we'll be able to cover that easily. And the time it's gonna save teachers. You know, just the short time I've been on the board, we've spent $30,000 on Lean Frog, but we haven't done anything with, so I'm thinking, let's get some numbers here. Let's call and see what the schools are going to pay, what we can pay, and I say let's just make this happen. I mean, in the big picture, $67,000. We've spent money on other things that weren't as effective. But I also, like Ms. Day said, I want to make sure our teachers and admin know exactly how amazing this program is before they say no. And actually, I want to make sure, I have the $100 streaming. Give us some, and the contract would do that. This is what we're paying this year. I don't see elementary needs the path, so you're going to be saving some money there. So, this is brilliant, and you've done an excellent job with your presentation. And maybe we can get the email, since we're not going to meet again before we vote on this.
Okay.
Get the email of the schools, the numbers we were just talking about.
I have all the quotes.
Just email us all those quotes, make sure they're confirmed, and let us know if, are the schools gonna pay for it, are we gonna pay for it, what percent, and so forth, so right, so we know what happened. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other discussion? So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Anything else on here?
To the chair, I'd like to ask for a point of personal privilege, to ask something of Dr. Van Meter. Ladies, amazing presentation. And, before the meeting, our scheduled board meeting, next board meeting, Dr. Van Meter, I'm having a little chaos in my district with one of my schools. I talked to Mr. McDonald yesterday morning.
Okay.
And I went by the school and I drove around, and I know that it's state law, so I know that you can't do anything technically because it's the law, and it's with the transportation at one of my elementary schools, of 5-year-olds that can't be bus riders anymore because they live 0.9 miles from the school, and the children next door live 1 mile from the school. This is a pre-elementary school. First, I'd like to know if this is district-wide, that now we're truly enforcing this 1 mile rule, or is it just in this area? I've been getting calls. I talked to Ms. McDonald yesterday at 7:30 a.m. because I was getting calls about it prior to 7:30 a.m. And I was just wondering if you could look into something. I know that we have personnel probably that work down here in the central office, and I'm sure this particular area is only 3 miles from this building that we're sitting in. I think they actually had a shooting in the area, a parent who just recently moved here, and I was not very happy about the rollout of it. But I have to give Mrs. Collins at John J. Johnson her kudos because she actually sent a call out once she received the information. I don't know if this is true. I just know what I'm being told by the parents. Their 5-year-old rode the bus to school and had to walk home because they didn't know. And I do know that your staff sent out a letter on Friday, and this procedure was implemented on Monday morning. I think it's in your area. You're saying that you have elementary school. But my point is, I think we're opening ourselves up to a liability in the sense that the notice and the action were from Friday to Monday morning. And as a parent, I'd be upset too. I have grandparents calling me from Broke Ridge about their grandchildren who were a part of this. So maybe between now and the next board meeting, or you can have something posted on the webpage. I know that all of this transpired because I talked to Mr. McDonald, and he made me understand it and whatever. But now you're gonna have to make the parents understand what happened. So I think we need to have something on the school board webpage explaining this because it's just rolling and getting larger and larger and larger, so. I'd just like you to address it. It might be in other areas also where now we're strictly enforcing the 1 mile rule.
And I'll check with Mr. McDonald tomorrow morning.
Okay,
And we'll see.
yeah, issue some kind of statement because I'm telling, they're waking me up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Understood.
I just have one real quick thing. Dr. Van Meter, would you please introduce our chief academic officer?
Yes, ma'am. Our new chief academic officer is Mr. Rodney Harvey. He'll be running the CNI meetings from here on out. I did today's because you can see that the things that have been presented today were from a meeting that was supposed to happen, I guess, a month or so ago, right? And we've been working on for a little bit. So since he was coming in, I told him I would just go ahead and handle these 2 issues today. But after that, he'll be handling all the CNI meetings from here on out. So.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.